As we film this video, it's June 2015, and there are churches and individuals across Canada and around the world preparing for summer short-term missions. Many of you are participating in short-term missions work, so we've been thinking a lot about this. SEND believes in short-term missions and that it's important we do it very well. For 10 years now, SEND has been an accredited member of the Standards of Excellence for Short-Term Missions. This association has identified best practices to help churches and teams and individuals ensure that their short-term missions are based on healthy, God-honoring principles. Today I'd like to share with you 3 of those 7 standards for you to think about. The first is readiness or training. It's vitally important that short-term missionaries learn about the context they're going to serve in. This might sound like common sense, but I've been personally shocked sometimes to learn how little those goers know about the people they will serve among. For example, who's leading the country? Who is their president or prime minister or king or queen? What's the economic situation like in that region? What assets does that country have, and what do they export to the world? What religious view is dominant in that area? How do they think about God and about spiritual things? And finally, are we learning at least a few phrases of the local language? By learning to say please and thank you and introduce ourselves even with a few simple phrases, we communicate care and respect for their culture and values. Let's not be afraid to ask our short-term workers, even our youth, to step up to a responsible standard of readiness for cross-cultural service. The second standard is God-centeredness. The primary motivation for any short-term mission trip has to be God-centered. Sometimes our focus shifts a bit to the goer, and we say it's important that they see the world, or learn about a new culture, or even help our youth appreciate how good they have it at home. All of these miss the mark. Is God at the center of our purpose? Sometimes it's helpful to remember that God is there before we arrive. He's already at work. By being humble and prayerful servants, He can use us to accomplish beautiful things, even in a short period of time. I'll say it as plainly as I can. If our primary motivation is not to bring glory to God, then perhaps we should stay home. The third standard is intentional follow-through. Any excellent short-term mission trip does not end when we reboard the plane for the flight home, or at the final team party where we share our pictures. What happens in the year following the short-term mission trip? If appropriate, are you keeping in touch with the people you've met? Especially the mission workers will appreciate and be encouraged by your ongoing interest in their work. Are you praying for that work, that it will advance after you've left? Are you considering how you can support the work, perhaps financially, so that it can really move forward in the years ahead? And finally, are we continuing to apply some of the lessons we've learned by being on a short-term mission team? Are we prioritizing unity with other believers and continuing in evangelism and discipleship? Are these things true in our lives when we return home because we have served the Lord in this way? At SEND Canada, frankly, the goal is not just an excellent trip in some faraway ministry place, but rather to help make disciples in that place, while discipling Christ followers who will take those experiences and integrate it into their lives to be globally minded and faithfully serving right here at home. There's a lot more that can be said about short-term missions and doing it well, but we'll save that for another conversation. If you would like to see a list of all 7 of the standards, you can click or tap here to visit our website. There we've created a one-page download in case that's useful to you or your church, and you'll find other resources to help you be effective as you serve in short-term missions.